Next step, which is the, I mean, we'll conclude what we just did here, and it will start looking as it's supposed to be, is to install the vCenter for Windows. As default, if you remember, you download it. I don't know if I downloaded it here. No, I haven't. But there is one which is for the which will be for Linux by default. So if I come here where the VMware products are, if I go a little bit below on the product line, okay, here it is, where it says vCenter server. It's for Linux. There is no for Windows. That's why we went for the third party and we downloaded it from there. Okay, so that's what we will do now. The next one. Now, I tried it yesterday to use the from lap local, the VC. That's what's supposed to be the appliance. It didn't work properly, meaning there are a lot of things to be installed, and the script which is inside didn't, because I haven't done all the scripts. So most probably my environment is a little bit different than what they expect. If you want to do it exactly as it's shown on the online movie from Linda, go and do it. But if not, do what I'm going to show now in this recording. So you're going to need to install Windows Server 2016 without installing any different any domain controller, just as it's supposed to be installed normally. So you come up on your workstation. A prerequisite here, guys, is to have at least 8 GB of RAM and at least 2 processors. So that's what we will do now. We will create a virtual machine. We will use here as ISO image. Now, remember, when we start doing it, indeed, actually, it was asking us for a number to license our copy of Windows. So that's why at the moment we're gonna say I will install the operating system later, actually. Okay, I will say next, and I'm gonna choose here Microsoft Windows, and I will choose Windows Server 2016. It will be here. Here it is. I would say next. I will call this VCA. In my folder where the labs are, pre-installed labs are, it's called VC, so I want to be different than this. I'll call it VCA. Okay, I'll say next here. Now the disk, I don't need more than 40 here. I don't need more than 40 because it will be actually indeed installed on my host one, which I already installed. So basically, I will 40 will do the thing. Don't forget to click Store Virtual Disk as a single file. I'll say next. I'm not gonna customize now the hardware. I'll say finish. Here it is. I'll go player. Well, actually, I'm gonna edit virtual machine settings now. 2 GB of RAM. It's not enough, as we said. We need 8 GB. So I'm gonna increase it up to 8 GB. 8 GB indeed is. Let me see how much it is. 8 multiplied by 1024. It's 8192, exactly what I'm seeing here. Now the other thing is I need to have 2 processors. I have 16. You most probably have either the same or 12. Well, choose 2 of them. Hard disk 40 we set is fine. Now the adapter we need to change. Don't forget, we need to use the VMnet 3. And everything else, the USB controller is important for my mouse. If you remember, it's supposed to be there. In the options, now the shared folders, well, always enable map edit. We need access to our desktop of our real machine, so we need to add it. And I'll choose here my desktop. It will have the same name. Next and finish. The other thing, I want my VMware tools to be updated automatically, and actually that's all. That's all I need to do. I'll say OK. By the way, let me check if everything is done properly. Just a second. So once all of this is done, I'm just gonna start the virtual machine. Now it says there is no, well, we know why. I will say yes, I would like to connect a virtual device because it doesn't, you see, it doesn't find out this, so I'm gonna power off it actually. I will stop the machine, I'll reopen it again. I forgot to put the CD, right? That's the reason. I didn't put the ISO image of my Windows 2016 server. So I'm gonna come here, I'll say player, manage, virtual machine settings. I'll navigate on the SATA. You see there is nothing here. I will choose ISO, browse, go to my download folders here, and I will choose the Windows server. It's a Windows server. It's simple like this. And then now I'll start the installation. Now in this case, it won't prompt me to put a serial number. Otherwise, if I do it step by step, installing the ISO image in the beginning, it will ask me for a number, and afterwards I won't be able to proceed. I'll say next on this. You know how to install it. It's pretty easy. I'll say install. Don't forget we need the graphical interface, which is this one, and data center evaluation, the most advanced ones. I'll say next. I'll accept the license terms. I'll say next again. It's a custom installation. There is nothing to upgrade. I'll say next. And I'm just going to wait now. Now, it just appeared here to install the tools. Because it's a graphical installation, for certain we need to install these tools, but we're gonna wait until the operating system is installed indeed, and then after the reboot we will install the tools. Okay, so that's something. And don't forget, we must install them. These are like the guest edition in VirtualBox. They're crucially important for our graphic card presentation, for overall experience of how the mouse and all the other things are feels within the in the networking tools to be properly applied. Okay, now after the reboot, once again, please, on any Windows client server installation, there will be 2 reboots. Don't click when you see CD, DVD, click on button. Don't do it because the installation will start again. Don't do this. Most of students does it, and it's most of the time it starts the installation for them again over and over and over and over again. Okay, so don't do this. It was a fast installation. I'll use my normal common password here, and it will finalize my settings. I could immediately put my password here. I will be logged in, and I could indeed install the tools, as well as I need to do the settings. Don't forget, there will be a couple of them, more than a couple of them actually. So I need to join the domain as well, and so on and so forth. So I'm waiting the server manager to start. I could install the tools. I'll click install the tools. There will be a couple of things which will ask me to reboot. It doesn't really matter. Okay, my tools are there, so I'll click and I will run them. I just will say reboot further, not right away. And as with the other edition, I just gonna do next on the next complete. Next, when you have a graphical interface, it's very important to install it this way. Even Linux, Unix, or Windows, especially Windows. They are very important. They allow you to use the extended network settings, graphical settings, and other drivers which normally you cannot use. It's very important to have them installed. Now, when you prompt it to finish, you finish, and you just don't reboot right away. So say finish. You must restart. No, I don't want to restart. Say no on this. Before we start doing anything else, I would come here, and I'm not gonna change really the adapter to. I will stop the IP version 6. You know, we don't need it. I'm not gonna change this. Let's have, even though it's a server, let's have the automatic IP addressing. No problem for me. But I'll put here the IP address of my server just to double check it to be sure it's okay. I'll do IP config here. It's supposed to be 4. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. So I'll put here 192.168.199.4. Well, we need to do this because we want this guy to be added to successfully to the join to the domain. Now what I need to do is just to disable for a second, 5 seconds I would say, enable back. Be sure properly will be, let's enable it again. Be sure properly will be introduced back. So I see my internet here. I could always check it, of course. What I need to do now is on the local server to finish the other thing, which is supposed to be done. We need to stop our firewalls. It's a lap. We don't need this. We'll then enable the remote desktop as usual, and I'll make it accessible from anyone. I will well, I'll leave as on the other server the antivirus. I'll leave it. I'll stop for sure though this one because I need to work without any problems with my Internet Explorer, and I'll change my time zone. When I see that's my product has been activated, well, that means I have internet for sure. And if I check here, it will say that I'm good for 180 days. So I certainly have internet here. I need to change the time zone to -5 instead of Eastern time. And I'll say OK here. Basically, the last thing what I need to do, which then I will reboot, is to change the name to VCA. Actually, I'm going to change it to VC as they imply there. Indeed, there is no reason for this. VCA will be the computer name, and I will join the domain. The domain, as you know, is LAP. I would try first with the net. Okay, so I'll put here the administrator. I'll say my password. Okay, and if everything's fine, indeed, actually it will prompt me. It will say hello, welcome to your new domain. If it doesn't, I'll use, instead of the NetBIOS name, I will use the domain name instead, lab.local. So it's done. I'll say OK on this. I would say OK. I would say OK again. I will close, and now I'll restart. Now something else I need to do here, just to be sure it's done properly on my domain controller. I'll open here my server manager while the VCA computer reboots, and I'll go to tools and I'll choose my DNS. Proper DNS setup is extremely important, and I will indeed pin to the taskbar so to be always accessible. I need to create my reverse lookup zone because I don't have one. You see, I have my 2 computers now already appeared here, the DC, which is this one, which I am, and VCI, which I just installed and joined to the domain. I need to do the reverse lookup zone. It's pretty easy. New zone. You just need to confirm it's a primary zone. It's basically next. We need to put the first 3 octet here, which are this one, and it will reverse the zone for us at the bottom. Say next. Again, the same thing, finish, and the zone has been created. Now I'll come here on the lab local. I'll go to this one, properties. I'll update and say apply. Say the same to this one, and the other ones will be done automatically. I'll go to my zone here, and I'll reload the zone and actually refresh it after this. And indeed, I'm gonna have the reverse records here. That's important to be done, the DNS to be properly configured. So this one meanwhile is back. Let's see, welcome one. here and I'll start. Now I need to copy 2 disks. I think though I haven't properly logged in. I need to log in as a member of the domain, so I'm gonna sign out. I'll click Control or Delete and I'll choose, yeah, I didn't. So I'm just gonna choose here administrator. If I lose the domain, well, it's very easy. You just put it in front with the backslash and then use your password. And now we'll join the domain. I mean, we start joined to the domain. I'll change appropriately my things inside. Is to download from my desktop 2 files. So one will download, the other one, well, both of them I will download from my download files. So actually what I need to do is to copy them to my desktop here. The first file I need is the VMware converter, and the other one is the Vim file, this big file of 2 GB, which is indeed the tools. So I'm gonna paste on my desktop here. Okay, I will paste them on my desktop, and then I would copy and paste them within my virtual machine. I will be able, well, I'll remove this disk, I don't need it anymore. That's the installation disk of Windows Server. I'll click twice here, my desktop, and I will copy the VMware converter and this disk. I'll copy them and I'll paste them here. You see how fast it is. Now, the first one, which I'm gonna use eventually, I would this first one, I will right click on it and I'll say mount, and notice it will be, it's open right away, but it will appear here as a DVD. It's kind of DVD which I just added, and it's actually opening, and I need to start something to install. Before this though, I will install this one, the VMware converter. I would like the converter to be installed on that machine. It's a pretty straight installation, just next. I click next. I'll say next. I will agree to the terms and conditions as usual. Again, next. I'll use the local installation. I'm not going to use the client server installation for now. That's enough. I don't want to join VMware customer. If you want the customer experience, you could do it. And I'll say install. And indeed, once it will be installed, it will appear here, and I could even run it. Okay, I'll say finish and it will run. I'll use it a little bit further, so I'm gonna minimize it for now. I don't need this one anymore, so I'm gonna just get rid of it. Okay. And now that's my CD which I just mount here, and I'm gonna click on the auto run. Close this one, and that's what I need to do. I need to click install now and cross my fingers the installation to go smoothly. There are no prerequisites, as you see. Come here, say next. I will accept the terms and agreements. Now vCenter server and embedded, that's the default one, that's what we're gonna see, that's what we're gonna use. There is a small explanation, you could just check it. Now this is the name of my computer, well, that's what it is. I'll say next. Appear to assign, okay, we need to change. So let's close this. Let's close it and let's do what they say. Let's change to a static. Let's change a static IP address. So I'm going to even close this one. Let's change to a static IP address. Let's double check actually let's do CMD here. And let's pin the command prompt to the taskbar. Okay. Let's check ipconfig all. Okay, 206 is the address, and so on and so forth. So 2 is the DHCP server, DNS server is 4. Well, let's do it statically then. So let's come here, change adapter settings, right, actually click twice, properties, navigate here, and just do this manually. We need 192.168.100, 199. Well, let's use 5 here, guys, because you know, it will be static. Let's be out of the scope. We're gonna check if it will work. That's a good subnet mask. 192.168.199, and I guess 2 for our gateway. Yeah, that's the gateway, and that's the DHCP server as well. The DNS server is fine. That's what we expect. That's the green one in behind. So we're done. Say OK. Say close. Minimize this. Right click and just disable for a while. Wait 5 seconds. Right click and enable it back. Close this and this. Open, and after clearing the scroll back, do ms lookup of Google. It's fine. So we have an answer from our server, and we see our server here, so we are good. And we could start actually the same thing. We could start it right away. So I'll open again the folder here, click twice, I'll do auto run, and I'll start the installation again. I'll say install, say next, I will accept the agreement, I'll say next, this one is next here, that's our name, fine. Well, there will no error anymore. Now, notice administrator vSphere local. You could change it. Don't change it for now. Just use it like it is. Use the password you use for the host, our standard password with the exclamation point at the end. And don't forget that you need to log in as administrator at vsphere.local. That's very important. Okay, it's not our domain anymore. Okay, I'll say here again the password with an exclamation, and it is the default for site. You don't have any choices here. Actually, you say next. Well, we're gonna use the local system account. That's what it is. Of course, we could do the default. So I'm gonna just click next here. I will use the embedded database, which is the Postgres of VMware. Everything is the default. These are the ports which will be used, plus some additional ones which will be used as well. I'll say accept destination directories. These are the ones by default. I'm not going to touch anything. I'll say next. I don't want to join the VMware. If you want, guys, you choose it. I'll say next here, and that's before installation. Just show me what it will be done, and I will click install. Now, I will stop the recording because it will take sometimes about half an hour. Okay, so I will leave it. If there is something meanwhile which I need to do additionally, I will proceed at this point. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it, and you could take actually. So the installation progress is almost at the end. I guess another 2-3 minutes, and we'll be ready to start our vSphere center. So stay tuned now. Okay, it's done. You see it's committing the changes, and it will be done now. Okay, now it's done. So I could click launch the vSphere web client. Indeed, it will open the browser. I could install other things here, like the vSphere Update Manager server, and so on and so forth. For now, I'm not gonna do this. Just gonna minimize this thing here. Okay. I'll use the default browser. Well, if it doesn't start, there is no problem. I'll click finish here, and I'll open my the browser which I have indeed, as well as I will open the machine. I would open it on a full screen, so to see much better, right, in real life, I would say. So we'll put here, instead of what I'm seeing at the moment, I'll put the name of my machine, which is vca.lab.local. That's how this machine is called. If I have doubts, I always could put here host name, and I would see VCA, and I know my domain name. So the next thing what I would do here is just to click enter. I would use to launch the vSphere client, which is the HTML5. I mean, it's a self-signed certificate, that's why it's asking me this. Don't forget, it's admin at vSphere, not lab like before, right? And local, and I'll use my password. It's administrator, not admin. Okay, let's say login again, and this time we're gonna log in. Here it is. At the moment, there is nothing more here. It's just the machine itself. The first thing is right-click here, and we could create a, uh, you know, data center. We'll create new data center. Data center is okay. We say okay. It will be created. The next thing, we need to add a host. Well, we have already one. This is this guy here, the host one. And we have the IP address 201, right? So we're just gonna put the IP address 192.168.199.201. Our location is the data center. I'll say next. Well, the username is root, and the password for it. We'll say next. Now it's a security alert for the self-signed certificate. We'll say yes on this. We'll say next here. The evaluation license, good for 60 days. Well, we don't have choice here. We're gonna say what they propose us is the default one, the disabled lockdown mode. Where it will be, well, once again, in the data center location, and we'll finish after checking everything. And here it is. It's appearing at the moment. Now, at the moment, it's discovering it. It will be discovered soon. And actually, it will be done. Here it is. So, what we could do, let's check our utilization. See, 96%. So what I will do, this DC machine, what you see, I will convert it to a virtual machine. Don't get me wrong, it's already a virtual machine. I will virtualize it once again, and I will put it here within this host. Okay, so it will appear within this host, and then I will decrease the amount of RAM we're using, and I will shut down the other one. So this is done using the VMware vCenter converter standalone. So actually, I'm going to stop this one here. I don't need to do anything anymore. I would stop here I will just eject this disk. If I want to use it, the disk is here. I don't have any problem with this anymore. The VMware, these are the locks, so I'm gonna just rearrange a little bit this thing here to be more comfortable. And I already click, if you remember, on this one. So basically, I will just do whatever needs to be done, so to convert my virtual machine once again and to import it within the vSphere. So I'm gonna say convert a virtual machine. It's a remote Windows machine. Apparently, it's a Windows machine. That's this green one, the DC. It's a Windows machine, and it's running, right? So here it is, remote and powered on. the IP address of the machine if I don't remember it, but I don't remember it. I remember it, but just in case it's 4. So we're gonna say here 192.168.199.4. Username and password we know. And we'll say the password now. Say enter. Actually, it's asking me for the specify the power. The POS not be available now. That might be a network. Let's say what's going on. Yeah, because I forgot here to put some dots. Huh? It won't work like this. I'll say next again. Now, again, the certificate problems will say yes, we believe this certificate. Now, what it does actually, the agent you see here, this one, VMware Center Converter, it has an agent within it which helps the machine to be converted and deploy on the remote host. So actually what it does, now it's deploying it there. And as you see, there were two choices, and I said, you know, after this delete, after the process is done, just remove the agent there. So let's see what was our IP address here. It is 5. Well, so that's the IP address. 192.168.199.5. The username is administrator at vsphere.local. That's the credentials to access this guy. Okay, the vCenter server, and the password, you know. And I could say, well, I'm not going to use proxy. I'll say next here. Again, the certificate. I'm going to say ignore this. I don't care about this certificate. And it will connect now to this one. And if everything is well, okay. Cannot enter incorrect username or password. vSphere, guys. It's not vSphere. vSphere. And now it's okay. So we're going to deploy this guy here on the data store one. Now you see capacity of the data store is 2.5 gigabytes. So that's not the good thing. What we need to do actually is to come and to allow additional space. Remember, our machine has our host has actually 100 gigabyte. So what we need to do is to come here. We need to come on this one and right click. Indeed, we need to come here on, you see on the top there are a couple of icons which actually shows different things when I click. When I click here, actually will show me the storage and data center and data store one. Right, that's the data store one which I have at the moment. Now, if I would like to do something more, could right click on the data center, and I would say storage. I would say new data storage, the new data store. I'll choose the standard one. I'll say next. I could call it data store 2, and so on and so forth. I'll say next here. I need to select the host. You see it said, and that's my host 201, right? And now here's the store which I need. This is the store. It's 250 gigabyte, right? I'll choose this one. I'll say next. I'll choose whatever is the default. I'll say next again. Again, I will just say next and finish. And I'm gonna have now the data store, which indeed has 100 gigabyte, 250 gigabyte of storage there. So I'm gonna go back now. I'm gonna go back here. Click twice on this one. Stay back. I'll choose here. Well, it doesn't appear. Well, what I'll do cancel. Say yes. And I would start again. Because it didn't refresh. That's the reason, right? So I'll say again, convert the machine. Actually, all my settings will be still there. I need to choose the proper credentials. I'll say yes, automatically and install the fast. This tool switch will be deployed now, the agent. After everything's finished, it will be out automatically. It's more convenient, you don't need to do anything manually. But you have the manual option as well if you want. Okay, now don't forget here, administrator, at vsphere.local, the password, say next. I will ignore this. Now let's see on the data center, let's click twice. Let's click twice again. Oh, that's data store, but now we see the data store we created, right? And when I click it, you see, now I have almost 100 gigabyte, which I've chosen, right? So I'm gonna choose this one. I'll say next. And now there is no error, as you see. I'll say next again. Everything is done properly. I'll say finish. And now it will convert the machine and it will move it. Now it will take some time, as you see, the process to finish. So it could take a little bit of break as well for this one. Just gonna open it to see what's going on here. Okay. It says 1 hour and 6 minutes. Well, it will be faster. Well, it might not be so faster though, because you see the utilization of CPU and the memory. But this is very important that it will be the same for you guys, almost the same. Maybe it will be a little bit slow, but you're gonna be able to do it. You're gonna be able to do it. That's an important thing. So I would actually stop anything what I don't need at the moment. Just to be sure, I will clear a little bit more of space for you know, the machines to stop, although that doesn't do anything too much. But I'll try at least. Okay, let's see if we could close. Well, we cannot close anything. We need the router, we need the host one, we need the domain controller. We're just converting it now and moving it. And we need the VCA, which does this. So we're stuck, guys. We need to wait. Okay, so we need to wait here. I'll stop the recording now. And as soon as that's done, I will come back. So what I would start seeing, I'm going to see here in my vCenter, I would see the machine appearing. Here it is. And if I go back, we'll see it here. VC lab local, it appears here, right? So that's a good point. That's a good sign. Well, we are almost done. 96%. Any questions, guys? So that's how it looks. And indeed, our machine is done. It says completed. So our machine is actually ready to be started. So I could click on it, right click, or even not right click. You see here there is the button. So I could click on the button and actually I would monitor what's going on here. Here it is starting now. I could launch the web console. As you see, it will open it as a separate tab here. I will allow this section all the time, always allow. So without any problems, the vSphere client to be open as a separate. Actually, it doesn't open as a separate tab. It will open it now. Okay, again. And now it will open it. So I'm gonna watch how this guy starts indeed. Now you see the utilization appear a lot to, you know, as soon as it starts though, I will shut down the other one. I'm not gonna need this anymore. Actually, my machine is on. I'm just gonna log into it. So say send control delete. It doesn't like, but now I'm gonna put the password. Okay, I will log in. Here it is. I see even everything the same like before, right? Everything's here. And if I open my server manager, I will see that's a domain controller in it. Here it is. And it will have the same IP address as the other one, which you know is not a good thing. So now I'm gonna go and shut down my domain controller, which as you see, it is already shut it down. Well, no, it's not. Here it is. So I'm just gonna close everything here, and I will shut it down. Okay, so I'm gonna say shut down of this one, and I will leave the other one on, and that would be my domain controller now. You see, it's a domain controller. If I check the IP address, everything will be the same. Here it is, the IP address, the DNSs. Now, well, the IP address here is 207 though, it's not 4, right? So I need very fast to come here and to change the IP address to static one. It's supposed to be 4. It took this one because the other one was preventing it, right? I'll stop the IP version 6, and I will put here 192.168.199.4. The subnet mask automatically will be taken, and I will put 127.0.0.1. That would be my domain controller, as we know. So, well, it says to another adapter, but it's not a problem because I just shutted it down, right? So say OK, say close, right click, disable. We're going to enable it back. We close it, and we do ns lookup, google.com. Okay, so that means it doesn't allow to do this yet. Let's wait a little bit. Let's ping 8.8.8. Yep, because it doesn't like the IP address, but that's something we could work on. So I could reboot all of my infrastructure at this point, and it will still take the IP address. It's still taking the other one, which was before our domain controller before this. But we're gonna clear up this one. So it's important, guys, you to know how to do how to send and convert from a real machine to virtual. Once again, in our case, it was a virtual machine. We reconverted it to another virtual machine, right? So I'll